Eric and I put this little program together to kind of reach out to packaging resellers. We could use your input and help with this, but here's what the 35 years in my space. I know Eric is kind of getting up there and number of years he's been in the space, but what we've noticed over the last probably 20 years is that packaging resellers are really stuck in the old ways. If it's not Uline or Granger or something stock, when it comes to customized or specialized packaging, they have very little, not everybody, but very little thought outside of a stock item. For example, meaning if it's a customized product that they don't necessarily know about, like Eric and I found aseptic packaging together. And what we were working on with Florida's Naturals is really a classic case study in what's happening right now. Is that most people that sell specialized packaging, that's all they sell. And they're really kind of stuck in their ways, but there's margin and there's so much opportunity for packaging resellers and those of us that are packaging resellers to connect with our clients and penetrate that account further. For example, Cleveland Clinic is here where I'm at in Cleveland. I work with a company called Milcraft Paper. Milcraft sells them all their copy paper, all their pallets and banding. But I said to these guys, I said, are you working with them for their medical grade packaging, their sterilization pouches, those items that they clean medical instruments with, autoclave bags? And they looked at me like I had three heads. And I was like, okay, so what's the problem? And the point is they didn't even know what that stuff was called. They didn't even know how to start a conversation with their clients to really and truly, they're already selling the Cleveland Clinic. What better way than to build that account? And why Eric and I kind of are trying to connect with you guys, it's really important to get your feedback, but we're just trying to bridge that gap, if you will, connect with people, resellers in a way, and say, what kind of client are you currently working with? Whoever that is, what opportunities are there? And let us kind of at least brainstorm with you on what we feel are opportunities that you could be selling. For example, if your client is Florida's Naturals, like Eric brought to me, together we were able to look at, we could go and try to sell Florida's Naturals the same commodity items, but that's Eric's world. He's selling them their stretch wrap, and he's working with them on corrugated. He's working with them on pallets. But what problems they were having was in this aseptic packaging. And it's really important to understand aseptic packaging, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, so I don't want to talk down or up to you, but aseptic packaging is real high temperature pasteurization packaging, meaning they literally raise the temperature of the juice to such a temperature to kill all the bacteria. And then they put it into a big bladder bag. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
One of them is 300 gallons. They pick. Hold on, Dave. I'm just gonna.
Go ahead.
Stuff because I've never. I'm just saying. You and I sell strapping. I sell stretch film. Got it. You can't trip me up on labels, ribbons. Same as you guys. They come to me and they're like, "Look, man. We've been told after COVID, 8 months, and they're delivered short. This and that." They go, They gave them an order, I believe, in June. And they said, you're not going to see it till March. And they said, well, wait a minute. They pick oranges for 4 months a year, yet thus we have orange juice all year round. So what they do is they pick it, they literally put it in a Gaylord. Like this thing's 26 mils thick on the edges for this, like biggest bag I ever do, about 3, 4, 7 mil maybe on some stuff. But anyway, they put it in there. They, like David says, they heat it up, they put it in, and then they drop it at 22 below zero, and then they melt it all year long when they need, orange juice. Never even thought of that. But the in that world, then we'll go even beyond that. Anybody that's using pails for stuff, it's called bag in a box. So every pail that is, you can save somebody like $1.35, make about 40% yourself, and they can put paint, glues, anything,
Oils,
anything.
yeah, I've seen-
And right. So, and they save like $1.30. You're a hero because they do all this. I work with an oil company now. They're looking at Atlanta that's looking at it. It's not for everybody,
Right.
but I mean, people that fill anything that's liquid, even dry goods, foods, liquids, like he says, hospitals, sterilization. It's so weird. And that's not it. Like what we're trying to just tell you is this. If you see something, if it's even odd, run it by, let David tell you, no, he can't do it.
Yeah,
That's where this is where he's been very instrumental for me. And that is, look, I'm just Eric Dimitra. I've been in your business 25 years. I worked for Crown Packaging. I worked for others. What David brought to the table was now all of a sudden, and Florida's Natural is not a huge user, okay? But literally, they may use $500,000 of this stuff, and I may be able to make $200,000 off of them and not have 8 months lead time. You can have 8 hours because you can store it in, your warehouse and you can deliver it if there is such a need. Go ahead, David. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you did good. Can you guys see what this is classic bag in a box.
Yes, I'm
can you see
very
it on the
familiar
screen?
with that product. Yes.
Yeah, and again, it's not the box. I mean, again, that's somebody else's world. Maybe that's your world, guys.
It is.
But
They have a corrugated manufacturing plant.
Yeah, it's your. No, I understand the product completely, and the Sholey product specifically.
100%. Yep.
And so and that is not an area we have played in. We actually were working with Sholey on a converting project to go into this product itself, and another area that I'm sure you've chased it, but the bag, the mattress.
Oh yeah,
everybody.
Oh yeah, the mattress film.
Yeah. And the compression film.
I was going to say compression film.
Yeah. And so yes, I do have some familiarity with it. And please continue. I don't want to disrupt.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once people, and that's why I like this platform, because once people see pictures, guys, that's when they go, oh, I know what you're talking about now. But what makes this unique is, yes, Sholey was the supplier, still is, for Florida's Naturals. And like Eric described, 8-month lead time is probably on the low end. Now, what they were also having problems at Florida's Naturals is they were not getting complete shipments. And this didn't say Sholey's a bad supplier. This didn't say they had quality issues. It just said Sholey had real problems, and still does post-COVID, of being able to fulfill the orders that they do have. So what Eric was able to connect us with at Florida's Naturals was say, hey guys, we're not here to replace Sholey. Let us be your backup supplier and at least get vetted and approved, because we can do this in our sleep. Not only can we do this in our sleep, but we can run this stuff and ship it in and hold it stateside and eliminate the 8-month lead time. We could always supply chain this to you from either our Ohio warehouse, or even Florida's Naturals said, well, we have a warehouse. My point with this is that this is one of those examples of there's pain at the customer, suppliers falling down, and suppliers really, that is who it is. And there's huge margin in there to be able to go directly at.
Sholey and Liquibox are very proud of their product.
Yeah.
And
yes, they are.
Thankful.
Well,
I'm just saying, you find it right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are, and as you know, what David, the funny thing is, I even said this to you, is with David, look, if I had 450 million guaranteed sales from Coca-Cola, I got to tell you, I don't know if I care about
protect
Florida's Naturals.
right.
And Liquibox does what, 350 or 400 with Pepsi. I get that. But what David and I have uncovered is, what's wide open out there. Starbucks is now changing over. Dunkin' Donuts, people that supply McDonald's creamers, that supply, you go to the hotel and get apple juice, orange juice, cranberry juice, any of that stuff. Those are 2.5 gallon bladder bags, that are valve bags. It's endless. And so there's another $300 million worth of business out there that no one's looking at, and we can provide it, parallel or better than their quality, bag in a box, all that, and there's good margin in it. And if you happen to have, I say this, Mark and them, they have a very nice operation here with their ware. Then you get a customer and you keep some emergency stock, we can feed it from overseas and fill any gaps that they have. And they go from 8 months to 8 hours. You know, I mean, and Mark's aware, Mark and I play in a world where if you're to be successful in Dalton, you know, guys don't need stretch film in 2 weeks.
Right.
You know, they call you, you know, I'm just saying, I don't care what it is. I'm just saying where they can't afford to lose, you know, $20,000 an hour off of production of whatever they're doing based on a $60 roll of stretch film. So, you know, we're familiar with that world, but with this world, literally, like, these customers are now getting accustomed to an 8-month lead time, and they're getting charged a huge amount of money, and they're getting short shipped, and they're, you know, that's it. It's low hanging fruit, but it really is. Go ahead, David. I was just wondering.
Yeah, no,
and the marketplace that's out there,
100%.
It's not as competitive.
Well, and that's why I started out too, Mark, was that it's opportunities for all of us as packaging resellers. But like Eric said, a lot of these companies, Florida's Naturals, because of this issue, is placing orders a year ahead of time. By the way, and spending that money and sitting on it. And here we are going, guys, we can eliminate that cost of carrying that money. We can eliminate having to do that as far as, you know, now we can supply chain it to you, and you will never run out because we'll always be a release ahead. Now, what Eric mentioned too, and I think it's really important to kind of, maybe it's not an issue in your world, Mark, but a lot of people, it's the elephant in the room when they assume that overseas is some sort of a third world dirt floor sort of operation. I've done this for 35 years. I own my own staff on the ground, meaning they're on my payroll. And that's the game changer. Yeah.
And absolutely. And I'm just so you're aware, I mean, I don't do it tremendously. I have plenty of options. As far as importing, I shouldn't say plenty of options, but plenty of knowledge, wherewithal, and a partner who is you know, he's overseas once a month, and then he has a sourcing team over there, and so I'm familiar with the mindset. And I've been, you know, I've done the China thing. I'm familiar with, I get it. I mean, you know,
if you don't have the right people over there, you can make a mistake.
Yeah, and they can burn you, and I fully understand that.
Well, what Eric,
just backing up just a little bit so that you understand, you know, and I think to your point and to the point of the conversation, you know, we're primarily an industrial house. I couldn't tell you, you know, we've got maybe 4 food customers and probably 5 medical customers, you know, where this could potentially be a fit.
Right.
And that takes us outside of the, you know, industrial, you know, area that we're accustomed to. And I need assistance in sourcing, but I do need to identify these products if and when they do exist with our customer base, and share this with our sales force. And it's awesome to know, you know, that you guys can assist with the importing and product development.
And also, just so when I say this, you know, like for me, even with your sales guys or you don't have to be an expert. You ask them if there's an opportunity, and then David will come down and do the whole, and you know, which is what
bring David in, and
I hate to say you become a glorified appointment setter, but you know, like when Florida's Natural did it and Dave and I got together, I just brought David in, and you know, here it is, guys, him, David, you know, talk the language,
100%,
and he'll close the business for, as well as he's, you know, a good manufacturer, but he understands what we go through, you know, and the process. He helps them walk through the process as well. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, no, you guys, we're all on the same page here, and I don't want to come across, and I think you guys go ahead, Mark.
I do want to say, and just because I don't want to, you know, set any expectations or understand, and you know, and I don't want this taken the wrong way, but I do want to be very clear in the sense that my customers are my customers, and I do not typically bring my suppliers into my customer
facilities.
And I've been doing this for 15 years, so not quite as long, but long enough to understand
whatever you're comfortable with, Mark.
Widgets and the questions that need to be asked.
Sure.
And we can
and we understand that. It's one of those where if there's questions that need to be, David's more than happy to assist. Like you say, we would set up, he works through distribution only, same thing. But we do honor any relationship. Same thing. You don't need to bring me in to do the same, to ask the same question.
I just want to put it out.
No.
And Mark, you'll just like the rest of us, we've all been in this for long enough. I get it. No one's looking to partner or jump on your customers, but you need to be comfortable with that too. And if there is an opportunity, and so let's just say hypothetically something bubbles to the surface, my first thing to do, and Eric and I talked about this for the very beginning, send us an NDA. Send me something that makes you feel comfortable if in fact you ever wanted me to talk with your customer. If not, that's on you as far as being able to kind of carry that message. Meaning, Eric knew right away at Florida's Naturals, because the first thing these guys did at lunchtime was to ask me a bunch of quality paperwork and questions. Fortunately, I was there because Eric's certifications. And
that's why I brought him in.
I guess, and to shed a little bit more light, which both of you will be able to understand, is I cannot stand the IPGs of the world that want to know who my customers are and try and manage my account.
I will not work with IPGs.
I've just gotten to a point where I'm like, guys, hey, I'm your customer.
Right.
Packaging is your customer. If you need to know the name. If that's not sufficient, then have a great
totally.
So that's where I'm coming from.
No.
Pour light on that.
No, absolutely. And again, this wasn't meant to steer anything in any direction. I just wanted to show you guys, this is just a little collection. But for example, Mark, on this thing here, I don't know if you remember, it wasn't that long ago that a lot of these big companies like Tide and Gain, and a lot of them are trying to eliminate those rigid plastic containers. Again, from the sustainability side point, but also from a cost savings. But a lot of times now, what happened in this space wasn't necessarily, if you remember now, I don't know about you guys, but we use those pods, for detergent or whatever it is.
Sure.
And so what now we're using these kind of we took this same concept to the protein powder world. Protein powder and anything in that space, they always want to have a scoop or a measuring cup or something. So now this has been parlayed into that world. All I wanted to do was just show you kind of like there's so many different tentacles that go to this. And it's just being able to kind of talk it out. What's the opportunity? What's the customer currently using? If they're in the food space, we get on this world. If they're in the industrial chemical space, okay, then maybe we bring up bag in the box. Or if they're in the industrial space, maybe we talk about valve bags, multi-wall paper valve bags, whatever. There's just a ton of opportunity to be able to get that stuff done overseas with vetted suppliers. Vietnam is just as good as China right now. I'll tell you that right. And there is no tariff. And to be able to bring that in and get it here quickly and be in that valve bag business and make 30% margin forever, that's a game changer when it comes to some of this stuff.
So let me ask about because this would be a wholesale changeover for the accounts that I currently, that are in my brain and targeting. So the equipment, the filling equipment, all that kind of stuff. Where would we, who
we can do that.
Going to be okay.
My question is always, and if this is a wholesale changeover, and we've had those clients too. Oftentimes their equipment or they want to look at this as is this a capital expenditure? Not necessarily. Do they want to buy their own equipment, or are they going to partner with the filler? Some places start with a contract filler stateside, and then they go, you know what? I think we're going to take this on ourselves. So it's really kind of like, it doesn't have to be right into buying hundreds of thousands of dollars of filling equipment. I don't want them doing that. However, to answer your question, when they do decide to go into, we have no problem either working domestically with a filler, helping them find somebody domestically, like going to the Pack Expo shows together and talk to these guys. But oftentimes, Mark, when they see the sticker on a $250,000 piece of filling equipment, they look at me and go, can you get that same thing done overseas? And of course we can, for about $50,000. So to answer your question is, we can. I don't pretend to be in that business. I always defer to people that do that. But most companies, especially like your types of customers and Eric's, they're big enough to understand that there's going to need to be equipment, or they're big enough to understand that they may need to look at this differently. And it's not meant to be a one-stop shop. It's meant to be able to get them thinking about different opportunities and let them decide, do they want to take this on themselves, or do they want to partner with a stateside, co-filler? So it's really this bunch of different ways.
Also, when it comes to like what's Florida's natural, because of the aseptic side of it, we can parallel the valve that they're using.
Okay.
So like I say, so most of those, so there's people like ITW that make them.
Yep.
David's factories make them. If there is a spring valve or a their valve, all we need is 3 examples of that, and they can make their own mold and make the exact same thing, so they don't have to change equipment. It's some stuff. What he's saying is true, and you know that. Some people, like, we're going into it, they need the equipment, that's fine. But also, we can parallel all the valves that are out there.
And I'll say, like one of my larger accounts is they manufacture, just all day long truckloads of flooring adhesives. And,
nice. Right.
And so they're filling into 3 and 5 gallon buckets. And I'm not supplying those buckets. That's coming direct from Barry. And, but that is an area, when I was meeting with the Sholey guys, that it sparked my interest, but I never really went much further with it. And I would, I think, I'd love to run some numbers and just see what that would look like. And then, I mean, these are guys, you said you kind of have a hunting license, and so this is that kind of relationship. I mean, they sell tons of adhesives, but they, adhesives, they would try and buy it from me. I just have a wonderful relationship with these guys. And
it's up, this, Mark, what our job is to educate them so they make an educated decision.
Sure.
And that's where they rely on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an alternative. They may look at that and go, this makes no sense whatsoever. And I get that because same thing like Zepp Industries, right in Cartersville, went talked to them, and they're not changing. Everything's rigid, bottle packaging. They do not want something on a shelf in a retail application where somebody, even just a jerk, would stick it with a knife.
No.
You don't go through the box and the bladder. But if it's used, like you're saying, liquid adhesive, or glue that's putting down, that makes it to the contractor site. After that, they're just, so there might be, just like you said, but to give them that opportunity.
Yeah, at least they know that. I mean,
Can you guys see the screen by chance? Because this is a very similar. So Redmond's one of our big accounts, and Redmond has this hunting division. This was also in a 5-gallon pail. Now, it wasn't Redmond necessarily that decided, hey, we want to get into something flexible because that's too much work. Tractor Supply was their big customer who said, we need something more sustainable than a rigid bucket. Now, I sell rigid buckets like you guys do too, if we needed that. So, for a 50-cent bag like this versus a $4 bucket, pretty big cost savings. Plus, Mark, they ship flat, store flat. Look, you can even see here.
Absolutely.
They have the handle, and they fill. Redmond fills through the pour spout. So they don't even have to have new equipment. They use their existing pipe that they fill the liquid into the buckets right through here in Capo. So there's all that stuff. And some places, and I know you guys get this, but some places it starts with somebody outside of the purchasing department, of course, the sustainability manager or the COO, not the CEO, but the COO goes, oh my God, so our biggest competitor is packaging now in something flexible. Oh my God, what are we going to do? We're losing margin. These are the kind of things we just want you to be prepared with, that you now have somebody in us that are able to kind of, help you kind of just navigate those roads, if you will.
Well, and
that makes sense.
That's a math equation because again, we all know the 5-gallon or 3-gallon buckets. If you can put that, and you can get, doesn't matter, 7%, 17% more in a truck.
Absolutely.
How heavy that's it. It's money by the pound. Like he says, that versus a berry bucket, $3.50, $4, and that's 50 cents. That's one of those where they might want to consider. But that's why we're here. And I want to go back to this. Never would we want to go after any of your relationships.
No.
I don't think I could bust them anyway. You know what I mean? I'm just saying I can't go to people that you do and say, you know what? I'll give you that stretch film $1 a roll cheaper. And they're going to go, yeah, I've been dealing with Mark for 15 years. That's not it. Just helping. If you come across it, any capacity that you want, David or my help, happy to do it. But all with the same thing. We're just looking for opportunities, and it's the crawl, walk, run theory. And if it does, the beautiful thing about some of this is if you get that, you're entrenched. Not that you don't have the packaging business anyways. Once you become involved in that manufacturing, so like here it is. When I lock up, which I'm going to, Florida's natural, they'll never leave me. The packaging all of a sudden is all mine.
Right.
Because what's important is when they've got $18,000 worth of orange juice sitting in my $15 bag, time and time again, they'll never leave you. That's all that. Then so I know you do. That's why here it is. This is why we're targeting also people like you. I don't want Veritiv to have this. I don't want to deal with them.
They would be able to.
Relationships.
You know what? Veritiv's reached out to us. In fact, Veritiv was at that trade show I was at last week in Hawaii, by the way, Eric, and I won't work with them because they don't understand these. They're order takers. They're not sales.
They're order takers.
Hey,
Go ahead.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Was this a packaging related conference?
Yes.
Because I did not get invited, and I don't know.
No, it was. So Cisco is a customer of ours.
Listen to this sob story.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a sob story. Cisco Hawaiian Islands. So we're talking Oahu and Maui and Kauai. Believe it or not, is a $500 million division just of Cisco. Now we're talking about produce and meat and poultry and all that stuff. But Cisco, Hawaiian Islands decided that all of their packaging, food service or otherwise, needed to be 100% biodegradable by January 1st. Now, everybody scrambled because it was a Hawaiian law and no one knew what to do. When they did find an example, they were getting it from the Veritivs of the world that literally had stepped on this about 4 times, Mark, and the cost was crazy. So Cisco came to me. Now, I know their president directly. He and I used to work together when he was in Brooklyn. And he goes, I know you can go direct overseas and get us competitive. So basically what we sell them are food service containers that are 100% biodegradable and compostable. And yes, there was a trade show, and that's what I was out there for. And Veritiv has a location out there too. But it was nice travel, but it's a hike and a half.
Yeah, he got back and you were out of it. You were like delirious when I was giving you. You were sending meeting advice.
I'm sending Mark invites to Mike and Mike to Mark.
No, that's the one. He goes, dude, sorry.
I know. I couldn't even think straight. Today's like the best day of the week so far.
Well,
I know yeah. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say as well, that again, not that it's a big, but food films, all that stuff. I know you do all that. I don't want us to just be so locked in on this.
No.
Specialty division. I just want to say this. If you come across something that's weird, see David, because David has this knack of the same thing. He's got these like in 11 countries. He's got the people on the ground. He's been there 30 some years. He knows what he's doing. And that's the only thing we wanted today was to say, if there's opportunities, plug them in, because I'm doing it. And David and I am, I'm helping him establish, but people like you, not the Veritiv, not, the Piedmonts. We can't do that. You got, because it's relationship driven. You can't even ask the Piedmont wouldn't know where to ask the question.
Right.
Same Veritiv.
Right. Yeah. And
You know
I'm
what?
with you guys, I don't like to be me too, and I'm cheaper. I
No.
and that's, we do get painted in that corner just naturally
sir.
in what we do. But,
well, we get viewed as Mark, as you know this, we get viewed as, I mean, when they look at salespeople, and you know this, so I have people like, I'll try and even get up with them. And, they hide behind their email. They're not interested. They just can't wait to get the Friday to get go, but, and they look at me like, all the kid does is he plays golf and, he works about 12 hours a month, and everything else. No, you go to market, same as I go to market. I want to be a relationship partner with you. That's a go-to person when they need stuff, or bring me technology. If there's something new that's out there, we present it that way. That's why I work with Florida's Nats, Scientific Games in Alpharetta does basically all the world scratch that they've been a customer of mine for a decade. And I'm just saying that those are the people that I want to work with because they're smart enough like us that they care. I can call them and say, look, I have this. You want to look at something like this, or piss off? Get it. I mean, you're not interested in doing it.
COVID was a perfect example of that, such of scenarios and relationships, and those who actually valued their supplier.
Yeah,
imagine that. I know.
And what was amazing was because one thing you'll find about us is we're never going to pay a bill late, and if I tell you something, I don't have to think twice about it. I don't have to question whether or not. What did I tell you last time? I don't have to play those games. And that's so we are in very, very good standing with our supply chain, and we were filling truckload orders when other people were 12 weeks out. They were 12 weeks out.
Exactly.
We were getting ours filled in 3 weeks. And
exactly.
And that was, yes, to your point, in the value of relationships and staying committed to what you're doing and standing behind that. It's not, here's your price. And, I mean, I'm not your guy. If we're working off the spreadsheet, you don't need me.
Me neither.
Yeah, when they need 48 items to quote, I quote 3 and send it in and say, what do I look like? Because I'm not doing that much homework for you. I don't even know you either.
Right.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
That's the philosophy too that like David and I went with, and that is the truth. And that is, you don't want to be a hot dog vendor. You know what I mean?
No.
You're at $1.27 a pound, I'll $1.27, and you get the order. Yeah. Then the next guy's $1.25, they get the order. You can't, I want to be important, not super. I don't need to be invited to anybody's house for the barbecue. That part I get. But I want to be at least respected enough to know that I'm, what I do brings value. What I'm doing is helping your organization, and that you care enough about me. Like you say, I wouldn't work with Veritiv. Why? I don't need 150-day terms. Do I look like a bank? As I sit in cars, do you look like a bank? I'm not a bank.
Well, I didn't get paid.
Right.
We couldn't pay you. We didn't get paid yet. That's your problem.
And
I didn't work like that.
As much as I do with my manufacturers.
So let me ask one other question. I know we're probably
we're good.
A little short here. Could I get a sample of a bag that I could fill 5 gallons of material in?
I'll get you. You know what? I'll get you plenty. I'll send you pictures, and it depends on whether you want to fill it from the center mark, whether you want to fill it on the side. Give me an idea and I'll send you some pictures, and then you decide. But 100%. I mean, I've got samples right here. I'll send them to you directly.
What I'm thinking is I'd like to do to knock off their 5-gallon shipment and throw it into a box of my creation. If you'll give me a bag, I'll buy the product and just pour it in there. And we'll, just say, hey, let's talk about this right here. And
remember, Mark, there may not, and everybody's 5 gallons are different. So the point I want you to make is that we can make any size.
Right.
I mean, you've got, when you're talking about 5 gallons of paint versus 5 gallons of, so different. But what I'm getting at is use the sample to work with the customer to see if there's any interest. If there's any interest, just know that we can
create.
Then we create it.
Yeah. Well,
And by the way,
I'd like to do that though. If you could send something my way, I just know
No
this
problem.
guy, and, I'll throw it in front of his face and they'll be like, damn, Mark, you're always coming up with work for me to do, and then we have a visit with the sales because he's director, vice president, whatever, of purchasing, and he's down in Boca Raton, but I'm headed down there next month and doing this is for flooring displays going into Home Depot, and so I'm meeting with the sales team is what I'm getting at. I'd love to have something like that to introduce to them at that time.
Yeah, and I'll
thank you.
Yeah, and I'll leave you with this really fast, Mark. Just what you were looking at here. This is not rocket science. You're not looking at a change in direction. All this is a handle on these large 40-pound bags of cat litter. Now, these have never been done in the U.S. before, but what it was just an adder that really didn't cost anything, but because nobody else in this space had it except us, we were able to not only get the order, but be able to make an extra 20%. Because it's something that, so it doesn't have to be a whole scale change, but the fact that they have a handle now, that's what they could go into the PetSmarts and some of these other guys and go, look, have you ever seen this before? And people are like, oh, we got to have that. So it's not rocket science. So we can totally do this, but I'll let you guys go. Go get something good to eat for lunch.
Thank you, David. David, I appreciate your time. I get a full understand what you have, and
yes, sir.
We'll be in touch.
And
yes, sir.
David, send him the thing on the for the website that you have because of the stand-up pouches and all the stuff. Let him know what type of an arsenal he has.
That's fine.
Bring anything you want to his table to let him look at. But I agree. And, David, the one thing I want to end with is this. We like making money. I do with people I like making money with. You know what I mean? That's I don't need tons. Yeah, but I need the right people. And that's what, that's what David and I said. I go target this. I got a buddy of mine, Michael Harris. You ever heard of him? He's up in Harris Package. He lives on Lake Lure or Roadhouse or whatever, the Dirty Dancing.
I don't know.
He's a good guy, but he's the same thing. He's a one-man band. Same thing. One opportunity, can change it. And I believe, like he's saying, what you say, it just gets the wheels turning. David, thank you. You have a good day.
Thank you, guys. Hey, happy Easter, guys. Happy Easter, Mark.
You too
as well. Likewise.
See you guys. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. I hope you like this content. If you want more of it, I put together a specialized packaging alliance, a group of packaging professionals that are in different facets of this industry. We have webinars, we have meetings. The idea is to share information about this great industry of packaging, whether that be from the sales side of things to the marketing, even to the end users. My point with this is I'd love to have you join us, the Specialized Packaging Alliance. Check out the link below to learn more. Thanks.